When I asked what she'd like for her special day, she snapped, "For you to disappear." And that's exactly what I did permanently. Picture the scene, candlelight flickering on a romantic dinner table, her favorite flowers in hand. I pop the question with hope in my voice, "Babe, what's your birthday wish?" She turns, face twisted in rage, and spits out, "I wish you'd just disappear forever." The room goes silent. Shock hits me like a freight train, but here's the twist that will haunt you. I granted that wish. Poof, gone for good. Dive into the chaos of what really happened next. The hidden motives, the frantic search, and the dark truth that could shatter everything you think you know about love gone wrong.
Hey, story lover. Welcome to the Narrative Hub, Reddit Stories. Believe me, this adventure gets wild, but it's only epic with you. Seriously, you make this possible. Want more stories? Greater adventure? Smash subscribe right now. Smash like. Comment below. Let's go.
I was a man who had it all: a booming real estate business, a house on the hill, and a woman who was supposed to be the center of my world, Selmer Jackson. Her 30th birthday was meant to be a fairy tale. A romantic dinner at a five-star restaurant, a gift-wrapped watch that cost more than my first car, and a diamond necklace that shimmered under the soft light. I was ready to surprise her, ready to see that smile she usually reserved for me. But the moment I asked her for her birthday wish, something in her broke. The smile vanished, replaced by a cold, hard glare. The words, "I wish you'd just disappear forever," were not just a wish, they were a death sentence for the life I knew. The restaurant buzzed around us, oblivious to the earthquake happening at table 7. The waiter approached with champagne, took one look at Selmer's face, and retreated. Other diners glanced our way, sensing the tension thick enough to cut with a knife. I sat there, the velvet box containing her gift burning in my jacket pocket, my entire world crumbling in the span of 5 words. I didn't argue, I didn't beg, I just nodded, paid the bill, and walked out. I granted her wish completely and permanently. But before I left that restaurant, I caught something in her eyes that haunted me. For just a split second, beneath the rage and contempt, I saw fear, pure, unadulterated terror. At the time, I thought it was fear of confrontation, fear of having finally said what she'd been thinking. I was wrong, so very catastrophically wrong. The next 48 hours were a blur. I liquidated every asset, canceled every card, sold every stock, every digital footprint I had was erased. James Anderson, the wealthy real estate mogul, was no more. A new passport with a new identity, a one-way ticket to a remote town, and a quiet burner phone were all I had left. The love of my life wished me away, so I gave her exactly that. But as I sat on that train watching the city lights fade away, I wondered, why? What could have pushed her to such a brutal wish? The questions spun in my head, a relentless torrent of what-ifs and why-me's. I was gone, but the ghost of my past still clung to me, a painful phantom limb I couldn't shake. The transformation from James Anderson to Robert Williams took exactly 72 hours. I had help, the kind of help money can buy when you know which shadows to whisper in. A contact from my shadier real estate deals, a man who specialized in making problems disappear, had given me a number years ago. Insurance, he'd called it with a knowing wink. I never thought I'd use it for myself. The forger worked out of a basement in Chinatown, fingers dancing over documents with the precision of a surgeon. Birth certificate, social security card, driver's license, even a fake employment history. Robert Williams had a paper trail stretching back 25 years. The man never asked why I needed it. In his business, curiosity was a liability. 3 weeks later, I was living under the name Robert Williams, a simple handyman in a sleepy town, fixing leaky faucets and painting picket fences. It was a stark contrast to my previous life, but it was safe, or so I thought. One afternoon, a delivery truck pulled up to my new place and a woman stepped out. It was Selmer. My blood ran cold. She was here. How did she find me? What did she want? The questions I had been asking myself for weeks were about to be answered, but I wasn't ready for the truth. The town was called Millfield, population 3,847 according to the faded welcome sign. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone, where the biggest excitement was the annual corn festival. I'd chosen it precisely because it was forgettable and visible. I rented a small cottage on the outskirts, paid 6 months in advance, and told anyone who asked that I was recovering from a messy divorce. People here understood messy divorces. I learned to fix things with my hands instead of my phone. Mrs. Henderson's leaky sink, the Petersons' squeaky gate, old Joe's broken porch step, simple problems with simple solutions. For 3 weeks, I almost convinced myself I could be happy here. The nightmares about Selmer's face faded. The constant looking over my shoulder diminished. I was healing. Then she arrived. She didn't look happy. Her face was pale, her eyes bloodshot, and her expression was a mix of desperation and rage. She held up a small, velvet box, the box that contained the diamond necklace I had bought her. My heart pounded in my chest. Did she want to return it? Did she want me to come back? But there was something else about her appearance that chilled me to the bone. She'd lost weight, a lot of it. Her designer clothes hung loose on her frame and there were dark circles under her eyes that makeup couldn't hide. This wasn't the woman who'd told me to disappear. This was someone who'd been through hell. She opened the box and a gasp escaped my lips. The necklace was gone, replaced by a single blood-stained bullet. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "Where is he?" The bullet was a .45 caliber, its brass casing dented and scratched. The blood had dried to a rusty brown, flacking at the edges. I'd seen enough crime scene photos in my real estate dealings, the less legal ones, to know this bullet had been fired. Someone had died and somehow I was connected. I was frozen. Who was she talking about? What had she done? My mind raced, trying to put the pieces together. The rage on her face at the restaurant, the desperate search for me, the missing necklace and the bullet, it all pointed to something sinister. A twisted game of cat and mouse I never knew I was playing. Her voice, now a venomous whisper, cut through my thoughts. "I know you were his business partner. Where did you hide the money?" The pieces clicked, the hidden motives, the frantic search, the dark truth. It wasn't about our relationship, it was never about me, it was about something far more dangerous. The real estate business wasn't just booming, it was a front for a massive money laundering operation. And I was the one who had the codes to the offshore accounts, the ones they were after. Selmer wasn't just my girlfriend, she was a mole, a pawn in a bigger game. A game where a life was worth less than a single diamond. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. Every moment of our relationship flashed before my eyes, but now with new context. The way she'd shown up at just the right time when my business was expanding. Her interest in my work that seemed too keen, too probing. The nights she'd stay up while I worked, watching me input passwords and access codes. The questions that seemed like girlfriend curiosity but were actually intelligence gathering. I thought about Marcus Chen, my business partner who'd vanished 6 months ago. "Family emergency in Taiwan," he'd said. I'd never questioned it, just took over his responsibilities. But now I realized he hadn't left voluntarily. The blood on that bullet might be his. I had to think fast. She was dangerous and I was in too deep. I had to disappear again, this time for real, not from her but from the person she was working for, the person who wanted me dead. I had to outwit a whole criminal organization and save myself. My life was on the line and I had to play the game and win or end up like the necklace, gone forever. But escape seemed impossible. If they'd found me here in this forgotten corner of America, they could find me anywhere. I needed answers first. I needed to know exactly what I was running from and, more importantly, what leverage I might have. "Who sent you?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You know who. What happens next will shock you. Can I outsmart them and disappear again, or will my past finally catch up to me?" The person she was referring to, the one with whom I was a business partner, was a notorious crime boss, a man everyone called the King. He was the one who introduced me to Selmer, telling me she was an interior decorator who wanted to collaborate on a new project. I was blind, too caught up in my own greed and love to see the truth. The real estate deals were just a facade. The money was being funneled through the company, and I was the one with access to the accounts. Now, with the King missing, I was the prime suspect. The bullet in the box was a warning. It was meant for me, and Selmer was the one who delivered the message. Victor the King Kozlov wasn't the kind of man you forgot meeting. 6'4" with silver hair slicked back, always impeccably dressed, he commanded attention without saying a word. When he'd walked into my office 18 months ago with a proposal to expand my horizons, I thought I'd hit the jackpot. He wanted to invest in premium properties, penthouses, waterfront estates, commercial buildings in prime locations. The commissions alone would set me up for life. What I didn't know was that every property we touched became part of an elaborate shell game, foreign investors who didn't exist, cash transactions that cleaned dirty money, construction loans that built nothing but paper trails. I handled the legitimate side while the King orchestrated the shadow business. I was the perfect frontman, successful, respected, completely oblivious to what was really happening. Marcus Chen had figured it out first. He'd come to me 3 days before he disappeared, nervous and sweating despite the air conditioning. "James, we need to talk about the Kozlov deals," he'd said. "Something's not right about the money flows." I'd brushed him off, told him he was being paranoid. The next Monday, his desk was empty. I looked at her, truly looked at her for the first time. The desperation in her eyes wasn't for me, it was for her own survival. The game had turned and she was in over her head. "I don't know where he is," I said, the words a raw whisper, "and even if I did, why would I tell you?" But even as I said it, pieces were falling into place. The King had been grooming his exit for months. The accounts I had access to, I thought they were legitimate business holdings, but if they contained laundered money, millions of dollars in untraceable cash, then my passwords weren't just keys to accounts, they were keys to freedom for whoever held them. She took a step closer, the scent of fear radiating from her. "They'll kill me if I don't bring them the codes. Please, James, you have to help me." "My name is Robert," I corrected her, a cold resolve settling in my gut. "And the codes are gone. I deleted them, burned every file, every document. I disappeared, remember?" It was a lie. The codes were burned into my memory. 20 years of real estate had given me a head for numbers and passwords. Every account number, every access code, every digital key to the king's empire was locked away in my skull. It was my insurance policy, though I hadn't realized it at the time. A flicker of hope died in her eyes. "You don't understand, they're watching me, they'll kill me." "Then you should have thought about that before you told me to disappear," I snapped, the anger I had held back for weeks finally boiling over. "You walked me into this mess, you knew what was going on, you're just as guilty as they are." She flinched as if I had struck her. "I was forced," he threatened my family. That stopped me cold. "What family?" "My sister, Emily, she has special needs, lives in a care facility in Portland. The king found out about her, said if I didn't keep tabs on you, if I didn't make sure you stayed loyal." Her voice broke. He showed me photos of her daily routine, what time she ate breakfast, which nurse helped her shower, he knew everything. The restaurant scene suddenly made sense. Her rage wasn't directed at me, it was directed at the impossible situation she'd been trapped in. She'd been ordered to push me away, to break things off in a way that would keep me from asking questions. But something had gone wrong. The king had disappeared, and now she was caught between two impossible choices: betray me or watch her sister die. I scoffed, "And what about my family? What about my life?" "You don't have a family," she shot back. "You told me yourself, no siblings, parents dead, no close friends. You were perfect for this because you had nothing to lose." The truth of it stung more than I expected. She was right. I'd built a successful business but lived a solitary life. Maybe that's why I'd fallen so hard for her, why I'd been so eager to believe in our fairy tale romance. I'd been starving for connection, and she'd fed me exactly what I needed to hear. Suddenly, a black SUV with tinted windows pulled up to the curb. Two men in suits stepped out, their expressions grim. Selmer's eyes widened in terror. They found me. The men moved with military precision, one flanking left while the other approached the front door. I recognized the type: former special forces, the kind the king employed for wet work. They weren't here to negotiate. I didn't hesitate, I grabbed her arm and pulled her into the house. "We need to go now." She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of fear and relief. "Why are you helping me?" "Because you're my only way out of this," I said, a dark smile forming on my lips. "They think I have the codes. As long as you're with me, they won't kill either of us. You're my human shield." It was cruel but true. Dead, I was worthless to them. Alive, I was their only link to millions in untraceable funds. And Selmer, she knew things about the king's operation that could be valuable. We were both pawns in a larger game, but together we might just have enough pieces to play. She nodded, understanding the cutthroat logic. We had to escape. But where could we go? We were two ghosts running from a past that refused to stay buried. The only way out was to find the king and expose the truth, to turn the tables on them. But how do you find a man who's already a ghost? A man who vanished without a trace, just like I did. The back door led to a small garden, and beyond that, dense woods. I'd walked these trails during my 3 weeks of peace, never imagining I'd need them as an escape route. We slipped out as the front door splintered under the weight of a steel-toed boot. "There's a ranger station about 2 miles north," I whispered as we crashed through the underbrush. "If we can get there." A gunshot cracked through the air, bark exploding from a tree inches from my head. They'd found us already, were tracking us with professional efficiency. We ran harder, branches tearing at our clothes, thorns drawing blood from our exposed skin. The chase was on, a cat-and-mouse game where two mice were being hunted by a pack of wolves, with the only hope of survival being to find the one who set the trap in the first place. The twists and turns were just beginning. We were in a race against time, with every tick of the clock bringing us closer to a shocking truth that would either set us free or condemn us to a fate worse than death. Behind us, I could hear them gaining ground. Professional trackers who knew how to read broken branches and footprints in soft earth. We had minutes at most before they caught up. But ahead through the trees, I glimpsed something that sparked a desperate plan, an old logging road that might just save our lives if we were willing to risk everything on one final gamble. The real game was just beginning, and the stakes had never been higher.